Welcome back to the Form is Temporary podcast, also known as the dance floor for our our guest on this week. It's, strutting himself, murder on the dance floor, all of that. Very great stuff. But yeah, we are back, the Form is Temporary podcast, to preview Game Week 7. And once again, I'm joined by Kanji to help me co-host. Kanji, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I can't believe it's game week 7 already. The time is flying.
Yeah, the season is going quick. Once you blink and you'll miss it. But we've got a brilliant guest on tonight. He's already shown his stuff, strutting his stuff on the dance floor. But can he show his FPL credentials? Well, we'll see. But he's got a fantastic YouTube channel, and it's great to see. He was nominated for the Football Content Awards taking place in November. So Gary, FPL Pubcast, as he's been newly rebranded. How are you, Gary?
The man formerly known as FPL Have a Beer. The artist formerly known. Yeah, I'm great, mate. I'm great. The John Travolta of FPL is the other thing there with the dancers. Yeah, great, mate. I'm great. And it's good to be on for the second time. And great, we had Kanji on the Pubcast last night. Great debut from him. And of course, Roberto, you were there, sort of a semi-regular piece of furniture now. So yeah, all good, mate. All good.
It's great to get you back on, and if that's what you want to be known in the FPL community, we can get the word out and get that spreading like wildfire, and eventually everyone will know you for that. But it's great to get you on, and it'll be interesting to look back at how Game Week 6 went, and also look ahead to Game Week 7 and any potential transfer plans. We've also got some differentials to look at ahead of the weekend's games. And we will also be doing a little bit of a sort of reflection on the season so far. Obviously, there's an international break coming up after this game week. So bit of a break. It feels like there's so many international breaks early on in the season, but that's the way the schedule runs. And
this is the last one, mate. Before the March, because there's usually there's a big break usually then, isn't there?
It's a good question. It's not a question I have an answer to now.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up while you're talking.
Yeah, well, long may that be the case if that is true. And of course, we will end on the quiz. We've got a nice quiz for Gary and Kanji to test their football knowledge of up against each other. And of course, we might as well mention the mini league and how that's going at the moment. But we will start with a look back at Game Week 6. And we're going to start by talking about Kanji's team. So, Kanji, for those on the audio, could you just talk us through your Game Week 6, please?
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so I actually had my triple captain active this week. So I had David Raya in net for 2 points, Van Dijk in my defense for 2 points, Joachim Anderson from Fulham for 3 points, Marco Senesi for 7, Semenyo for 7, Bruno Fernandes with a missed pen for -1, Reinders from Man City for 2 points, Ndiaye from Everton for 2 points, Ivan Nilsson from Bournemouth for 2 points, Gyökeres from Arsenal from 2 points. I feel like I'm saying everybody has 2 points. And then it's like Holland had, I think, 16 times 3 because I had my triple captain active. So it was an interesting game week. I was a little bit disappointed because of that Gabriel header. I mean, I know like the total score looks great, 76, but if you really think about it, like I used the chip here, and everyone that kind of went on wildcard 6, they had a pretty similar team except for Gabriel versus Van Dijk, and then Gabriel got that last minute winner. And I'm also a Liverpool fan, so it hurt like twice as much. But other than that, I think the key battles for me on a weekly basis are going to be Ivan Nilsson versus Joao Pedro, so there was no difference there last week. And then Van Dijk versus Gabriel, so I lost 11 to the field. So maybe I should look to bring him in along the way. But my 2 transfers were very effective. I got plus 14 from my transfers. I did Salah to Ndiaye and Mateta to Holland, and that worked out very well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting looking team there with the likes of Reinders and Ndiaye and Bruno Fernandes. But Evan Nilsson is someone, Gary, that you've had this season. What are you thinking about him in terms of going forward for the game weeks?
He's one of those that he's done all right enough, I think, to justify keeping him. But I don't know how Kanji feels, but he doesn't overly inspire confidence at the same time. And now, I mean, I've got Semenyo now. I bought him in last week, and I mean, yeah, he's not someone that I want to keep long term, but it will be when I've got a free transfer. It's definitely not a priority because you know he's going to play, don't you? He's not like an emergency get rid of or anything. I don't think.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly. Like Bournemouth's fixtures turn in a few weeks. They end up playing like against Man City and Aston Villa. So I don't know if I want to own him for those 2 weeks. Maybe I could look to bench him if I have like 8 attackers. But ideally, he would just go down to Mark Guéhi because I've already played my bench boost, and I could upgrade one of my midfielders to Palmer when he's ready. So that's going to be my future transfer plan.
That's interesting. I mean, Dubravka, Paqueta, Tosin, and Lacroix on the bench there, with Lacroix and Paqueta both getting 4, which is quite surprising. I mean, this is the thing with DEFCON, the way that the game has changed this season, where players can blank, and you think that they're not going to get any returns, and it looks like they've had an assist on the bench sometimes. But 76 points. I mean, you've got to be happy with that, Kanji. Obviously using a chip, but still a very strong score for the game week.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm happy. I'm like satisfied because like the amount of points I was up above the safety score was 16, which was the amount of the triple captain. So it's basically a gray arrow this week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I suppose that's the thing. Like, the average. I mean, I do feel like this season a lot of the game week averages have been quite low. I think the game week before last it was 42. This week 46. So it's been quite sort of interesting how, I mean, a lot of chips have been played, so maybe that's changing things for people, and there's green arrows kind of coming around from that. But it's quite early in the season. There's still going to be more chips later on, so it's hard to kind of gauge how that will affect things really. But
is he saying
Sorry.
are you saying it's a grey because you used the chip because you've gone up 500,000?
Yeah, but it's a gray arrow in
Places.
my mind,
Why? Half your rank.
No, man, I'm
Literally.
hard. I'm very hard on myself. Like I don't deserve.
Okay.
Like, listen, I'm getting a green arrow. I had my great chip usage, but it doesn't really count in my mind.
Yeah, it does. You use the chip. You use the chip. The amount of times people have used the triple captain chip ineffectively, I think you've got to take every win. You've got to take every win when it happens.
Well,
Definitely.
The thing is, Gary, this is like winner's mentality. This sort of being hard on yourself is it makes you have thicker skin. It makes you want to strive for perfection. And fair play, Kanji. But
It
yeah,
depends like what other people get with their triple captains, right? So that's why it's really hard to celebrate at the moment. Like if other people are triple captaining for 5 or other people are triple captaining for 30, then I'll change my opinion, right? So let's see.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good point. Absolutely. No, really interesting. Looking at your team compared to mine, I'm pretty pleased because I did hit the wild card. So it was actually my first chip of the season, which in a way is kind of interesting because I think the first few weeks I kind of was able to get quite consistent scores without using a chip. And then game week 5 was my first sort of bad week that dropped me to quite a low rank of 3.1 million. But we managed to climb back up to 1.7 after the activation of the wild card. There's a few points in here where I thought I was a genius, Gabriel being one of them. But funnily enough, Pope was another because, Raya was very popular on a lot of wild cards. We had a lot of people going Petrovic, and they all conceded. And I thought, right, here comes the monster haul for Pope. Even with Gyökeres in my team, I was thinking, I've done well here. This is a great pick. He was racking up saves in that Arsenal game. And yeah, for ages, for 83 minutes, it looked a great pick. And then out of nowhere, Marino comes up with a goal. And unfortunately, Pope had played so well up to that point, but he just sort of was a bit flat-footed for that moment. And then Gabriel, not too bad on the wild card. Senesi with a 7, Gvardiol with a 2. Reinders, bit frustrating. I know there's been a little bit of murmurings about other Man City midfielders like a Phil Foden or potentially someone like a Doku, but I think I'm happy with Reinders for now because I know he's going to play every week, and even if he is playing a bit of a deeper role, I don't mind too much. Semenyo Mr. Consistent, 7 points. That was lovely. He's basically been my best signing of the season from game week 1, and yeah, I don't think he'll leave my side because even in tougher games, he finds ways to get returns. Kudus was one that I went for on the wild card. Was a bit frustrating because I just saw that fixture against Wolves and thought Spurs would, have a few there and really punish them, but they didn't play too well at all. And Paulinho having to sort of save their blushes there at the end. So, yeah, frustrating, really.
Quick observation, Chalobah, of course, has been your other hero all season, and as soon as you get rid of him, he goes and gets sent off.
Yeah,
that was perfect timing, wasn't it?
It was all planned. It was all part of the plan. Squeezed all the juice out of that player that I needed to, and then once I discarded him, he's turned mouldy. So take it. But Kudus was frustrating. I thought with those fixtures, against Wolves and Leeds, Spurs would really go all out. They might still do. So it might be a wait and see with Kudus. But with Fernandes, that was very frustrating because, I had him for the penalties and he did what he did against Fulham, where it was just a terrible, terrible penalty. A bit concerning that, maybe Mbumo might take the penalties off him at some stage. So, not great, but went for him for longevity, really. And then Gyökeres with a blank didn't look great in the game against Newcastle. It was a bit sort of concerned about his lack of involvement, although he could have had an assist or a potential penalty goal if that VAR decision had stood. So, it's one of those things. I'm happy to have him for the fixtures going forward, but not ideal for this week. And then we had Pedro as well, who has started so well that, again, I'm sort of not too fussed about him blanking. And then Haaland on the captaincy. I do think that it was the right decision to hold the triple captain because I think there will be a better opportunity in these opening 19 game weeks. But I think my team really did need the wild card. And with a score like 70, I think that's nice. Just good to see Haaland, not blanking in the end because it looked that way for a long time. And he came up trumps. A bit annoyed that I benched Yankuba Minta's assist against Chelsea. But he's good for having, in the squad long term. So no problems there. He looked very dangerous. And then on the bench as well, Goodmanson and Anderson. So all in all, pretty happy with this wild card. What do you reckon, Kanji?
Yeah, I think it looks great. Gabriel really saved your bacon there. I really like your pick of Pope over Raya on the wild carders, especially for some managers that don't have the same team value as other people that went earlier. That's just a great way, I think, to save the money. You don't need triple Arsenal. I think Gabriel and Gyökeres are probably the two best ones. So I think you've done very well there. And you're sitting there with Minte on the bench. What an excellent differential. I mean, I really like the overall squad, like the way you've used the money. The only pick I would think about long term moving on would be like Kudus.
Kudus was my risky pick and maybe my sort of one against the grain a little bit. But do you think he will kind of get back to scoring some goals? Because he's not really done that yet at Tottenham, has he, Gary?
No, he's been a bit of an assist merchant, hasn't he? I mean, at least with him, he's going to play every game week. That's the big plus. I was just going to say, I looked up earlier on, there is there's a week break, a 2-week break after game week 11. So I don't know if that's another international break, because usually the last one's in October. But so we do have another one. But I mean, I wouldn't have Kudos in my team, but you've got him in there now. And they've got some okay fixes, haven't they? So
he could be one that might be worth being patient with. But happy enough with the game week. And then we move on to Gary's team, which did just as well as Kanji's with 76 also. Do you want to talk us through the points here, Gary?
Yeah, I did take a -4 low, so I'm actually 72 to give Kanji's due. Sells, I mean, so I've bench boosted last week for 18, which I was very pleased with. Triple captain this week. And I was saying on the podcast last night, I think, usually we always bench boost and triple captain in double game weeks, don't we? And this is up there with my top 3 triple captains and top 3 bench boosts ever, and to have it in a single game week is pretty nice. But to be honest, other than that Haaland, I mean, Sells with 2, Porro with 1, Anderson with 3, Senesi got me 7, but it was really only Senesi and Semenyo who both got 7 who actually returned. I think other than that, I've got Ndai, Reinders, Fernandez, Anderson, Gyökeres all blanking. So, I mean, I think it was probably quite fortuitous for a lot of triple captains this week that they played it, because not only was it a great triple captain, but it carried a lot of teams that did pretty poorly, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, so I was pleased with the triple captain, not with much else in my team, but having said that, I keep pushing my wild card plans back now to like probably 13 now. Like I was just counting from your wild card last week. I think we've got 8 players that will be the same once I've made my transfer. So that makes me feel like I'm in a decent enough place to keep going, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it is early in the season, Kanji. So do you think that we shouldn't be concerned that our teams are all looking quite similar? Because, you know, I think with DEFCON coming in, a lot of people thought this would spread the variety of the player pool a little bit and our teams would all look a bit different. But I suppose when we see the impact of DEFCON and how much it does make a difference, that people will just pick the same players and it'll be hard to kind of make those gains.
Yeah, you kind of said it well, where it's like there's a smaller pool of players. Like every time the rules change, the pool of players change, and you think it expands, but it really just stays the same. So I think in order to make the game more interesting, they'll have to drop the price of the attacking players, the likes of Munoz, the likes of Pedro Porro next season, in order for them to be like FPL relevant. That could be like a knock-on impact for FPL for next season. But otherwise, I look at this team. I think it looks great. I just think it needs a move of one of Sells or Porro on to like a Pope or a Raya or like a Gabriel or a Van Dijk, that sort of thing. Otherwise, the team looks great overall.
I'll just say one thing in relation to your last point, Roberto. I do think we've been underdone in terms of attacking defenders this year. Do you know what I mean? Because I think if there were more attacking fullbacks, then we would have 2 pools. We'd have the attacking fullbacks and then the DEFCON players, but with no attacking fullbacks. I mean, I know we've got Munoz and stuff, but very few, and even the ones we have got haven't really performed. It really just leaves the DEFCON daddies, as Andrew likes to call them. It's all that's really left, isn't it? As well as obviously the bread and butter of clean sheets.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like clean sheets can be lost so easily. So, you know, people are just looking at DEFCONs to find a route to points. But you know, for someone like me who's been against DEFCONs for the whole time, just not interested in it. And yes, I know it does score points, but just sort of in the spirit of the game, I haven't enjoyed it. So we'll probably keep picking players that I like rather than necessarily players that score well. I say that with Anderson in my team, who I didn't really like as a pick, and now he's there, sat there like a melon. So it's one of those things. I'm not sure how much across the season it will sort of change our thinking, because as you say, Andrew, Andrew was saying about the DEFCON options, that how powerful they were. But as you just pointed out, Gary, you know, we've had a small part of the season so far, and a lot of the attacking defenders have underperformed. So you'd think that over a longer period of time that they might even things out a bit more, and we can pick other options. So yeah, definitely that's interesting. And you did take a -4 this game week, Gary. What were the changes you made?
So I finally got rid of. I finally got in Semenyo for Salah.
Oh yeah,
I got rid of Mateta for Haaland, and the hit. I've said it every video I've made since last weekend was Verts to Ndai, because I just could not stand the look of that man in my team any longer. I mean, I know a lot of people make transfers like Trigger for price rises. I don't do that, but price falls and price rises. But when there's just this player that, and also the other reason I did it is I knew that I wanted 2 Arsenal players in. If I didn't rip that bandage off this week, I'd be looking to get rid of Verts this week when I really wanted to be bringing Arsenal players in this week. So
Yeah.
Even though it did cost me a -3, I guess, in the end, or even maybe -4, I think it might be worth it in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to have these players that can pay it back over multiple weeks. Okay, well, we'll start talking about the changing landscape of FPL at the moment, and sort of looking at Haaland. A lot of people that went for him. I mean, his XG is always very big because of just how much the quality of the chances that he has. But at the
Massive.
moment, I mean, the fact he's averaging 1.25 XGI per start in 8 Premier League games, and in terms of across the Premier League and the UCL matches without penalties, I mean, that's ridiculous. So it just shows how good of a start he has had as the high scoring forward in the game. And I suppose people will keep, rolling this message out, Gary, about how if you've got Salah and you haven't got Haaland, you've got to switch them round. But are you sort of worried that at any stage we might kind of go the other way again, and it might be hard to always be happy with whichever one you're on?
Not really, mate, because not only is Salah underperforming, I mean, I haven't got the stats in front of me, but his XG stats are like the worst in his career, pretty much, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, I was saying to Kanji last night, like, all right, game week 13 is sort of when I'm planning my wild card now for the Liverpool fixture swing, but then he's only around then for 3 or 4 weeks before he's off to AFCON anyway. I mean, I certainly think it's very possible that I won't have him in. I mean, you can't write a player like that off, can you, for an entire season? But I certainly think it's very likely that well, not likely, but very possible I won't have him in my team at least until game week 19 or till 2026. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just wanted to mention that, the XGI is like 1.25 XGI per start, and that's also non-penalty. So if we look at that in terms of historically, Holland has never averaged over one in his entire career. That just goes to show you how great these numbers are. So he's performing at least 25% better than his career averages. So this is like an incredible player, one of the best finishers in the last few years from a striker perspective in general. And now he's having his most XGI created for him. I mean, this
That's
guy's
what I
a
was thinking.
lock, bro.
That's what I was thinking. Do you know sometimes they say like players like Son, for example, back in the day, like he doesn't need a great XG because he's such a good finisher. With Haaland, you got someone who's an incredible finisher and is getting the XG. It's like the perfect combination of factors, isn't it?
Exactly, right? So, I think 3 years ago, in his first season for Man City, he had 28 XG and 36 goals. The second season, he had 29 XG, 27 goals. Last year, he had 22 XG and 22 goals. So he doesn't really underperform. And even if he does, it's not by much. But this year, he's just cooking 7.5 XG, 8 goals. So he's in line with his data. But, bro, I just feel like there's going to be a chance like this guy could just drop like 40 goals in a season,
He
honestly.
could, yeah. What do you think happened to him over the last? I mean, I know he didn't go off a cliff or anything. I know he was still fairly consistent. But what do you reckon happened to him the last 2 years, like with that sort of decline, and now he seems to be back up there where he was when he first joined?
I don't think it has anything to do with Holland. I just think it has to do with the team. Like Holland is just like an output merchant, right? Like he is like the mouthpiece of Man City. When Man City are clicking, he's getting tons of chances. But when they're not, he suffers and he really just thrives on service. So it's just about like City finding the right balance and getting enough creativity in the midfield and from the wingers.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's really good thoughts on that. I mean, Madueke, I think we mentioned previously his injury. So Saka, obviously, with his contribution midweek as well in the Champions League, will be one that people look at. You did say earlier, though, Kanji, that you thought that Gyökeres and Gabriel were probably the two standouts. So would Gabriel's injury push you more towards Saka, or do you think you'd stick with those two at the moment?
I think it depends how much confidence you have in Saka. Sorry, it depends how much confidence you have in Gyökeres being on pens. I think just based on the journalists and just based on what I've been seeing and what I'm hearing on Twitter, I feel like Gyökeres has like 100% pen share. So it depends how high you are on it. If you think they'll split it, or you think that Saka hasn't really scored that many goals, so he likes the confidence boost, so maybe Gyökeres will give him the next pen, then maybe go there. But I just think at 10.0 without pens, I just don't know if Saka's worth the price.
Well, you say without pens, Kanji, but do you know for sure that Gyökeres is on them?
Yeah, exactly. So it depends if you want to play it safe. I'll give you an example. When I wildcarded, I didn't know if Semenyo or even Nielsen were on pens. And then we got clarity, Semenyo was on the pens, right? So that just sort of lowers the value of even Nielsen. And you could do the same thing with Arsenal, but the problem is like the price point of these players is so high. So you really just, it's a lot of money to be putting in. So you just have to be more careful.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sort of calculated gamble, I suppose, with that. I mean, Alisson and Ekitike off injured as well in the Champions League. Do you think the fact that now there's now a 4.3 starting goalkeeper, Gary, would that tempt you for Liverpool, or do you think people looking at Mamadashvili is not worth it at this stage?
Mamadashvili, I managed to pronounce that yesterday. I'm going to have to try and get used to that sound. I think I heard one of the content creators I watched earlier saying, if you're on wildcard, I think he's definitely worth getting in, because I think he's 4.3. He said,
Yes.
I think it'd be worth getting in over Dubravka because he's not that much more. Unless he's only out for a week, obviously then it's sort of.
Well,
pointless.
it was actually confirmed from David Ornstein, just came out like an hour ago, and it's saying Allison's likely to return after the November international break, so 6 weeks
wow.
off.
Well then, yeah, I don't know if it'd be worth a transfer. But wildcard, I think certainly you get him in and maybe another 4.5 or something. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's interesting if you've got other Liverpool assets that you're interested in outside of Salah, maybe an Isak or potentially even. I mean, Gakpo. I didn't expect him to kind of not play the other game, so maybe this is the headache that we don't need, and it can be easier to take up one of those slots with a goalkeeper that we know is going to play for the next few weeks at least. So yeah, definitely interesting and one to monitor. I mean, Gordon for Newcastle's Champions League game the other night was playing in a sort of central role and did take penalties for the Magpies. So do you think, Gary, that Anthony Gordon as a Newcastle fan is someone we should maybe be looking at?
Well, yes, but let me have a quick look at their fixtures. I mean, yes, but I don't like being swung on the basis of one game. I mean, first of all, this is going to come back probably after the international break. Could he be on them? Possibly. I mean, so they've got Nottingham Forest at home, Brighton away, Fulham at home, West Ham away. It's an okay fixture, and it's not amazing. So I think it's a no from me. I mean, I wouldn't blame anyone for getting him in, but I mean, everyone's going off Ekitike now. Sorry, not Ekitike, Ndiaye, who's on penalties and has got Crystal Palace at home. All right, Man City away, Tottenham, Sunderland, Fulham. Very similar fixtures, and is a million less. So I wouldn't blame anyone for doing it, but he's not going to be coming into my team anytime soon.
Yeah, that makes sense. And again, we talked about it, I think, last week, but the Chelsea situation with Palmer's injury still, does make Pedro and Enzo Fernandez interesting.
3 to 6 weeks.
Wow. Yeah, 3 to 6 weeks. With Enzo, scoring last week, and there was some potential kind of Chelsea injury doubts, the other day. Do you think this is something we should be monitoring, or if you've got one of them already, Kanji, you should just stick with what you've got?
I think Enzo was the one on pens personally. Just because like he took the pen when there was the last pen for Chelsea and both of them were on the pitch. Now FPL Harry's building this narrative that João Pedro's the one on pens. I don't want to disrespect him, and he was at the stadium, but just looking at the situation on paper, I would just expect Enzo to have the pen share. But let's see what's gonna happen. Also, to just update on the timeline, Palmer isn't back in training yet. But he has already been out for 2 weeks, and there is another 2-week international break coming up soon. So he could be back coming around the corner, maybe game week 8 or game week 9. So something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and this is the thing, as you were saying, with your transfer plans, maybe having a way to fit in Palmer might be useful in the sort of future coming up. So yeah, interesting sort of updates from the week, and also we are looking at kind of the long term as well as the short term. So Arsenal's fixtures coming up are the sort of main attraction. It's why a lot of people went for 2 or 3 on wildcard with West Ham, Fulham, and Palace in the next 3. Is there any team here that sort of surprises you with their fixture run, Gary? I mean, we've talked about Minter already, Brighton having a quite nice run, but is there any other team you think people might be kind of overlooking wrongly?
Well, first thing, I haven't looked at fixtures ticker for a while. I think Newcastle were far too high. I'm guessing it's because they've got Burnley and Sunderland right at the end there. But if you took those 2 out, I reckon they would probably be mid-table somewhere. But I get you. I get that you're looking into long term. I'm trying to think of people who we might actually be interested in bringing in. Possibly Spurs. I mean, their fixtures to me are quite good, at least over the next 4. I guess it's just who do you go for from them. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's quite similar to the same at the start of the season, where apart from Arsenal, nobody has got a great fixture list. There's a red in there for nearly everyone. Or for Wolves, Tottenham, and Nottingham Forest in the middle, there's no reds, but there are some. They're all kind of middly difficult fixtures. There's not really. I think it is Arsenal. They are the standouts. I can't really see anyone else here who's banging out to me as being, I must have some of their players. Well, Leeds, to be fair, at the bottom. I mean, but who are you going to have? A couple of their cheapy defenders for your bench or stack, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting observation because, as you say, the way the fixtures have fallen this season does mean there's a lot of sort of potential jumping off points and periods where we have to sort of shuffle around options. Do you think, maybe Palace players, Kanji, might be worth thinking about because they are still the only unbeaten team in the league and they just keep sort of returning with points. So, a piece of their, team might be sensible at this stage.
Yeah, so today is Thursday. They actually just played in the Conference League. They won 2-0. They actually went down a man. So Wharton got a red card around the 75th minute, and they still didn't concede. This team is
Brilliant.
solid, bro. It's solid team. So I would kind of look at Palace. Like if you're able to just like bench them, if you have any defenders, if you could bench them in game week 9 when they play Arsenal or game week 16 when they play Man City, this is a team I want to be buying personally. And I'm really happy that none of the wildcard Sixers own any of them.
Munoz scored a brilliant header as well. I think it was almost outside the area.
Yeah. So this is the thing. Like some of their players are just attacking enough that you think, well, they're worth a punt. And definitely, this is the thing as well. We were talking about it earlier with certain teams, just scoring points like Bournemouth in Semenyo doing well against tougher teams. Palace can just do well against anyone at this stage. So they are sort of very handy to have for that reason. We also have a little look at game week 7. And if you are considering it, I mean, a potential sort of draft, because it is a game week before an international break. So, yeah, Kanji, do you want to talk us through this potential game week 7?
Yeah, so I knew when you saw this, you wouldn't like the draft, but this is in general for someone that's going to be in game week 7 that has a bench boost available. I know it has no Chelsea, but if I was on wildcard, this is the team that I would be picking personally.
I like it. Kanji is quite similar to mine.
Nice. So let me just explain it. So first thing to mention is I know Holland is averaging like 1.25 XGI per 90. So I think you can sort of look at him as a perma captain. So I don't think you need Salah in your team. So that's the first assumption. The second thing is Bruno Fernandes is just such a consistent player playing 90 minutes on pens as Europe starts. All of the other premium assets are going to start to lose minutes and Bruno won't. So that's why I really like him. And I think Semenyo is the same. So those three for me would be in every team that I make. And Reinders is just too cheap for what he can provide. So those four really are like non-negotiables. And then I would look to add Gyökeres right now because of the fixtures. And Gordon is just like somebody I actually believe in that has very good open play threat in the past few years and is now going to be given penalties where he's going to get 3 or 4 extra goals for free. So I just think that like that attack really picks itself with the NDI spot, the only spot I'd be open to really moving. And you probably would want a path to Palmer. I've kept 2.0 in the bank, so that's how I would build it myself, by the way. I don't have a bench boost, so if I was to wildcard instead of Calvert-Lewin, it would be like a 4.3. And this team is built with a bench boost in game week 8, where Burnley are going to be playing Leeds. So you'd have Dubravka, Rodin, and Calvert-Lewin all sort of playing against each other. I know it doesn't look the greatest, but you'd probably end up with 15 points in there somehow. In the defense, it would be Raya as a set and forget, Gabriel as a set and forget, and then you'd be rotating Senesi, Richards, and Anderson for two spots in your team every week.
This is really interesting, and we'll see what Gary thinks about this. But if I had to be kind of brutally honest, Kanji, there are players here that I really don't like. So one of them is Rodon, another is Gordon, Njai, Anderson, and also I'm not a fan of Raya personally, because with what we were just saying about Gabriel and Gyökeres and how clear away they are. I do think doubling up on a defense at this stage of a season, even with Arsenal, I'm just not a massive fan of spending all that money on a goalkeeper. And also with Rodon, Leeds' fixtures are decent, but I just think there are better ways to kind of spread the money across. And Jai is one where he's been rattled on about so long, and I just think sometimes we should change the record a little bit and spice things up and go with someone different. But what do you think, Gary? What do you agree with some of those kind of points about those players, or do you think there's other changes you'd make?
Yeah, again, it's difficult for me to hate on this because once I make my Gabriel move, which, spoiler, is my planned move, this is 10 of these players are in my team currently. I agree with a lot of what you said, Roberto. The one thing that you didn't say, which I don't think you said, was Bruno Fernandes. I'm planning personally to sell him next week. I just can't. I think the penalties will probably sort themselves out. I think he'll probably stay on penalties. He's such a penalty monster. I think he'll fix his head and get over that. But he's playing in that deep role. The fixtures aren't great, so I'm not a fan of him. I'd probably have Saka in over Raya. Maybe have someone like Pope in goal. The other issues. I mean, you said this is a bench boost wildcard, didn't you, Kanji? So,
yeah. Game week 8, imagine.
So it's difficult to pick apart like Calvert-Lewin and stuff because you need them for the bench boost. But but I like it. It's got 10 of my 15 players in it.
Yeah, well, it's got definitely some non-negotiables, as you were saying, Kanji. The likes of Semenyo, Haaland, and I mean, a lot of these players, Gabriel, for instance, makes sense, but it's interesting with the points you made there, Gary, about Fernandes, and the role he's playing is a bit of a concern, and it's interesting how in FPL we think about certain players and how stubborn we are with them, because with players like Fernandes, who has now missed 2 penalties this season, Man United have still been awful. They've not won enough games, and the form is telling you to kind of get rid after the Sunderland game. It is interesting because he could well be back on our sort of minds very quickly after that. So things can change very quickly with this game. But really interesting wildcard draft for us there, Kanji. So thank you for that. And then finally, in terms of the sort of looking at the data, looking at what we can take from it in terms of Man City, we've already discussed with Haaland's XG non-penalty looking strong, but Palace, who we mentioned might be a good team to invest in, and Chelsea as well up there. Do you think we should be going back into those sort of teams at the moment, Gary? Even if maybe the sort of Chelsea situation's a little bit up in the air.
I'm going to have to up my game here, Roberto. You're getting like black box level with all these stats and data and stuff. Sorry, mate. What? I missed the question. Sorry.
That's all right. You're upping the game. It involves the question, and it is about Chelsea. Chelsea assets, maybe back on our radar, despite the sort of ambiguity with Palmer, with those sort of non-penalty XG numbers.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they've obviously not for this week because they've got Liverpool, but then they're following 5: Forest away, Sunderland at home, Tottenham away, Wolves at home, Burnley away. Then they've got Arsenal, but then they've got Leeds. So, yeah, certainly. I guess with them, it's just who. I mean, from a forward perspective, João Pedro's XG in the last few has been terrible. Palmer's obviously not fit. I mean, yeah, Enzo possibly the only one I'd look at in attack and defence. I mean, now you've got Chalobah out, Tosin out. There's possibly other ones out. So I know Chalobah's only suspended. So again, it's. But yeah, I certainly think there's room to find one, maybe two. But I wouldn't be going all in on them for more than that. I just think there's too many issues there with a lot of the players.
Yeah, that makes sense. And XG conceded on penalty, Kanji. What do you take from this? Because do you think this is a sort of reflection of teams becoming tighter, or do you think it is just maybe the teams they're playing are a bit more goal shy?
It's hard to really tell. That's a really good question. I don't know. I feel like when I was looking at the charts from a defensive perspective, I was saying like Senesi's an incredible pick. Not only is he getting def cons, he's going to be keeping some cleans along the way. He got 2 assists already so far this season. If you don't have him, -4 him in. I also like Joachim Anderson, but I wouldn't take a hit to bring him in. But I like his price point. I think there are some clean sheets in the future. They're just as good defensively as Man City. But you can really see the strength of Arsenal. If you're looking to pick between 6.0 defenders, you should be prioritizing the Arsenal ones from a solely clean sheet perspective. Now, obviously, you want to factor in attacking returns. You want to factor in def cons as well. But Arsenal's really the standout. And I know Palace are mid-table, but they've actually had difficult fixtures to start the season. And I think when this actually like gets to like the midway point where we get to game week 19, I think Palace will maybe be in like the top 6 or the top 7. But even though the fixtures have been hard for Palace as a counterpoint, they're second for non-pen XG. So something, Oliver Glasner's cooking over there, man. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting as well. Like we just mentioned the sort of situation at Chelsea and quite how far down they are there. I mean, Man United as well. Don't think anyone's touching their defense at the moment. But are you surprised that no one's going in for like maybe a Brentford player or a Brighton player in defense, Gary? Or do you think that they are sort of there in that table for a reason?
No, I don't. I wouldn't be going anywhere near those defenses. I mean, the two that stand out to me, because I haven't looked at any of this actually until you put it in front of me, is Sunderland in what are they, 6th and Leeds in 8th. I mean, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
And Leeds especially don't have that terrible fixtures coming up. So, I mean, I know it's like preaching to the converted now because most people are wildcarded, but 4 million defenders from them seem viable. But I mean, our friend Darius has owned a Brentford defender this season, hasn't he, Roberto? And has not enjoyed it. So yeah, those two, no, I wouldn't be going anywhere near them, mate.
Do we think Alderete's goal against Nottingham Forest is just a lucky thing for those that picked him up, or do we think we can actually read into that, Kanji, that might have a bit of goal for it?
I think Sunderland's like a defense is a solid pick, especially at 4.0. There is a guy on Twitter. His name is FPL Bailey. He's actually built a team that has like Salah, Holland, Gyökeres, Bruno. He's put all of the premium players, and his defense is full of 4.0s. I think he's sitting at like 300K. So that strategy's worked out well. He's just relying on the defcons, and it's been working out for him. He obviously had Alderete for 17 points last week.
Yeah, I think he's historically quite a good manager. He's a big elite FPL fan. I see him in their chat a lot.
Well, will be interesting to see how long that sort of strategy lasts. Before we get into our differentials, then we are going to talk a bit about Game Week 7 captaincy, because there are some interesting fixtures on that front. I mean, before the start of the season, we would have probably said Man United player against Sunderland, but the way that they're going at the moment, maybe not. Gyökeres with West Ham at home looks a very tempting option, with Haaland and Salah's fixtures a bit tougher away games with Chelsea and Brentford. So, yeah, what are you thinking with captaincy this game week, Gary? Are you thinking to kind of go boring and stick on Haaland, or maybe go for one of the Arsenal players?
100%. I mean, we on the podcast last night, we had a guess who Darius is captain. I don't know if you've watched it, Roberto.
I'm gonna guess Saka.
Foden, who he captained last week instead of Haaland. It's just, you know, we've just talked about how amazing Haaland's numbers are, at what great form he is in. To me, it is just, you know, you're just asking for a world of pain if you go for anyone else. I mean, review have got Fernandes down to actually score similar amount of points to him, but I think anyone apart from Haaland is ludicrous, basically, when he's on that form. And it's way to Brentford, which is a pretty decent fixture.
I mean, I do think there is a case here to go against Haaland, Kanji, with an Arsenal player, because Brentford, yes, they have struggled so far this season, but generally Haaland has struggled. I mean, in Frank's system at least, to sort of score against Brentford.
Yeah,
maybe
that's a really good point.
The same sort of thing if Keith Andrews, you know, has them playing a similar sort of way.
But Nuno's in charge now. West Ham are going to have a decent defence.
Well, you say that, but I'm not so sure after watching that game against Everton, you know, how open they were at times. And, you know, Everton maybe didn't punish them as much as a team like Arsenal could. So
he's only been there 5 minutes, Roberto.
No, but that's the thing. And that proves my point. I think because it's so early with him at West Ham, Nuno, it'll take a while for them to sort of his philosophies to be implemented, and maybe defense might continue to kind of struggle as it was under their previous management. So yeah, I think Gyökeres is a good shout this week. I don't hate Saka either. I think that those would be my three. But yeah, what do you think, Kanji?
I mean, Haaland's a runaway. I mean, if you look at the data itself, minutes per expected goal involvement, non-penalty, Haaland is like 4 times better than Gyökeres in general so far this season. If you look at like XG accumulated, he's 4 times better than him. Yes, or sorry, 3 times better than him on XG. Like, if you look at big chances, I mean, he's at 13. The best ever other opponent is 4. Like, this guy's a beast, and it's funny because he actually is also leading the way in terms of big chances created as well. He's tied Salah with 3. This guy's a beast. If you don't captain Haaland, I just think it's like not really worth the risk at the moment. Like, Haaland's in perma captain territory right now. He has a good fixture. Sunderland are better than we expected, so there's no need to be on Bruno. It's time to bring Haaland in if you don't own him and captain him.
Interesting. Well, we'll see how many people think, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat and, captain someone else. But yeah, definitely worth thinking of. We are going to get onto the differentials very shortly. We'll just speed through our team selections. So, Kanji, what's your sort of plan here with one free transfer at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm sitting there at 450k overall. I've used my wild card in game week 4. I used my bench boost in game week 5 for 20 points. I used my triple captain in game week 6 for 16. So my chip usage has been good. I only have my free hit. I'm saving it for a rainy day. Now, the issue here with this team is I think Chelsea are going to score in this match. Liverpool have been very porous defensively. We just haven't really found the balance of building out, creating chances, and also protecting the back line. The coach is trying to force Verts into the team, and whenever he plays him into the middle 3, we lack balance. I do think Chelsea will score, especially at Stamford Bridge. So I am very tempted to make a move of toast into Richards to bench Van Dijk. It's going to come down to the deadline. It really just going to come down to vibes, see how I'm feeling. But if not, I'll probably just roll So that's how I'm looking. And once again, the battles going into this game week are going to be Van Dijk versus Gabriel and Ivan Nilsson versus João Pedro.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can tell you in advance that João Pedro is scoring this weekend. I just feel it. So you might have to take a slight L on that one. But Tosin will be interesting. Whether or not you end up changing him, because the Palace defense away to Everton. I think there's actually a chance of a clean sheet there. To be honest, if you do bring in Richards and double up on that Palace defense. But yeah, nice looking team with the players we mentioned previously in there, and Evan Nilsson coming in with Anderson getting a little rest with your triple. Bournemouth makes sense for that Friday night fixture. My team at the moment, it's looking okay post wildcard. So generally, I like to roll after having done a wildcard. The problem I've got is knowing who to bench, because I've got quite a deep squad in this one. So if I bench Reinders this week, could it be a potential mistake? I do really like that attack though, and I think playing Minter this week against Wolves is just an absolute must. So I am considering at the moment just leaving it and rolling the transfer, but it's whether or not I start Reinders or maybe bench João Pedro. But it's a home game, so I just think I think Chelsea will go out. And as you said, Kanji, Liverpool have been struggling to kind of keep it tight at the back, whereas Reinders maybe not so much of a attacking threat option compared to Pedro. So yeah, at the moment, back three of Gabriel, Vardiol and Senesi, and then just benching Anderson and Goodmanson. Now, Goodmanson's there, as we've said earlier, for Leeds' better fixtures, this not being one of them. So happy to have him. But I might well be selling Anderson soon just because he's sat there, more to make up the numbers. I need to look more into who the sort of other cheaper 4.5 defenders were, really. But I think I just plugged him in on the wild card because he was there and he kind of filled up the numbers. So, yeah, that's the plan. I think I'm going to not use a chip this week, though, after having just used one in game week 7 and, just game week 6. Hopefully, there'll be a week where it opens up. I can use the other chips, the triple captain.
Mate, I was gonna say, like, you have so
hit.
many choices. Like, for example, like I would start Reinders over João Pedro. Personally, I know you're a big João Pedro fan, so you would start João Pedro. And I would say if you want to start JP, then why don't you just activate the bench boost? Because Reinders is probably going to be the best you're going to get in terms of your eighth attacker having a good fixture.
Yeah, so this wild card was with a bench boost in mind, but it wasn't for this game week. So I am sort of holding out for. To be honest, I'll probably replace Anderson anyway. So I'll probably hold out for another week. Maybe switch out Anderson, and then a week that Goodmanson has a good fixture. That's probably the week I'd play it. So just waiting for that, really.
Okay, and then my other point would be, would you consider triple captain? I mean, Holland's form has been incredible. We don't know if he'll be in form or if he'll be injured or fit by the time he gets to the Leeds fixture when you want to captain him, or the West Ham fixture when you want to triple captain him. But he's sitting there. He's been scoring goals every single game. Like, would you consider going with the TC?
To be honest, Leeds is the one that I was going to hold him for because I think that's the money fixture to triple captain him in. And if that fails, I've got Sunderland 2 weeks after that. So, I think it's not the end of the world to play the triple captain later rather than sooner in this 19 game week window. Because for me, I just need to sort of see a bit more with Haaland. Like, yes, it was great, but he's not going to score 2 goals in added time every week. So we have to sort of see if he can do it in away games as well, potentially. So, yeah, I'm happy to sort of save on that at the moment. In terms of your team, Gary, transfers you're thinking of making in game week 7?
Yeah, for me, mate, it's all about getting the Arsenal in because obviously I haven't free hit yet. So we were talking about it last night, but I'm almost certain to go Porro. Obviously, I don't know if you could call him a rotation risk. I mean, he is, isn't he? He's not. Not he's going to be a rotation risk. Like, he's not going to play every other week. But yeah, I mean, I could get rid of Konza as well, but Konza's what, $1 million cheaper. So I think Porro out for Gabriel, unless we get really bad news on Gabriel. In which case, I mean, Kanji messaged me earlier. He thinks I should go Sells to Raya, don't you, mate? Which may be the move, because I don't know. But the thing that then would catch me with that is then I'm definitely going to get Gabriel in the next week, and then that means I can't bring in Saka. So I'm fairly sure it will be Gabriel to Porro and then Fernandez to Saka the following week. I'm quite liking life at the minute because, you know, it's been a lot of, particularly last week, there was a lot of complications in my mind about who I wanted to bring in. But now it's just going to be
clear.
Arsenal and then Arsenal. And I've got 2.8 million in the bank, so it's not like a financial, there's no financial issues. I mean, there are a few players here that I don't like. I mean, I'm still quite bold on Anderson for Fulham because of the defensive contribution points. But Anderson for Nottingham Forest, Evan Nilsson, definitely Konza, Sells, Indai, even though I only bought him in last week, I'm not that happy with. But I think I've just got to keep hold of them until a wild card. Really, they're not big enough issues for me to hit it yet.
Yeah, I mean, selling Porro ahead of Leeds for Gabriel could well potentially be, a bit scary.
Could backfire. Yeah.
But I understand it. Long term, Arsenal makes sense. So, yeah, interesting plans, and it looks like we're all on captaincy with Erling Haaland. So we are going to now get into some differentials picks. So we'll start with you, Kanji. What player under 10% are you looking at for game week 7?
Well, I was looking at an Arsenal player. I think they have a really juicy fixture at home to West Ham. I think historically in the last few years, they've actually been losing this fixture. They've been conceding. But I think this time around, there's an Arsenal player coming up against his former team, and his name is Declan Rice. I think he'll be extra excited for this game. He has these set pieces on the right-hand side. I know Saka is back, so he won't be having all of the set pieces, but I still think he's a differential that can deliver. And it's usually players that play against their old team. They have those added motivation moments. So I'd be backing him. I think he's like 8% owned.
I like that. I mean, he's obviously on all the set pieces and, routes to points and all of that. So, yeah, he's 8.3% at the moment at the time recording. And, yeah, he got another assist against Newcastle with him being on those corners. It's always a nice route to points. So yeah, I really like it as a pick. It's a great fixture against West Ham. What about you then, Gary? What differential are you looking at for game week 7?
Well, so I said to you before we started recording, I've got 9 names written down here. I've actually only got 7. I don't know why I said 9. Do I have to save my captaincy? We're not allowed to pick the same as other people, are we? So am I to save my captaincy differential to the end?
Sure. Why not?
All right, I won't use them. Okay. Okay, so these were all 9.10. There were 9. Some of these were 9.8, 9.9 when I put this list together this morning.
Right.
So I'm going to go
one.
Sorry?
Have you got just the one?
Gordon. I'll go Gordon first.
Oh.
I'll go Gordon. I know what I said earlier, but they are second on the fixture ticker. He is potentially on penalties. I think he was about 7 or 8% owned. I don't even think he was near 10%. So, yeah.
So, your advice was to not knee jerk, and you decided to knee jerk.
Differentials!
You'll be bringing him into your team before long, Gary. I know. But no, I think it's interesting because of the sort of position he's playing. I mean, obviously, Voltemada could well kind of ruin that, or as you said, Wissa coming in soon. But Forest, Brighton, Fulham, it's not a bad run of fixtures, and yeah, it's. I think more than anything, it's the price. 7.4 million, maybe. It's a bit pricey for the level of output he's had so far, but he could well be a good pick for this week, and that's all we're looking for really with the differentials. With my pick for this week, I've gone with someone who did score in the last game week, but I think he can score again this week. And I've gone for someone who's actually got a really tough fixture. So while everyone has their Arsenal defenders, I've gone and said Jared Bowen. He's on back-to-back goals. He looks like he's in great form at the moment. And I actually think this is the sort of fixture that he'll be really up for. I think 7.7 million. It's a bit more easy to kind of pick him with that price because you know what you're going to get with him. Very consistent, even where West Ham are going through a period of change. Managers come and go from West Ham, but the thing that never changes is Bowen and his sort of ability to kind of just deliver on a consistent basis. So yeah, I've gone for him, and he's 6.4% owned. So that's my differential for the week. Now, Gary, you've got a little differential captain lined up. Do you want to let us know what that is?
Oh, I thought I needed 2 differentials and then a differential captain. Well, I'm going to back up. I'm going to back up my man Darius here, and I'm going to go for Foden.
Wow.
Away to Bournemouth. I mean, he gave Kanji might be able to remember it better than me, but he gave a very good narrative last night, didn't he, for why he's going to do it, apparently.
Yeah, he's an excellent record.
He's got an excellent record, hasn't he? Kanji, take over.
Yeah, actually, I think he has like 5 goals in his last 2 games against Brentford away.
West Ham at home, Brighton away, Nottingham Forest. So he's not a terrible pick. He's almost like become a meme, isn't he? Like in terms of
he is
an FPL pick. But
you know what might become a meme though, Gary? Your pronunciation of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That's something I might play on repeat. I really enjoyed that.
Apparently, I'm becoming famous from the Pubcast for how badly I am at pronouncing names.
Yeah, it's quite fun. It's quite fun to listen back to it and see how badly you can butcher people's names. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
No, that's
Roberto.
Yeah, okay. He's killed it now. He's killed it.
All right, I went too far.
We are gonna have a little look then at the mini league just before we get into that quiz. So interesting week of action in the T-Fit League last week. I actually went up a slot for once. I've actually got lucky with who I played up against with Zayn Abbas just on 15 points, which is clearly some sort of miracle really that I've gone up against him this week. Trippier in the side, so maybe not too much of an active manager, but not the worst team you've ever seen, but just not too many transfers made across the season, it seems. But also we had other results, the likes of Chris as well. He's very consistent with his points every week, and he unfortunately I think missed the deadline, or if he didn't, then no, that's it. He captained Fernandez. He captained Fernandez for a penalty miss. So he scored 19 points.
Oh my god!
Wasn't the best of weeks. So yeah, I've probably done Chris a disservice there. Although to be fair, he's not made a transfer since game week 3, so maybe it was missing a deadline. But
have you seen the person at the top of FPL at the minute hasn't made a single transfer yet?
Yeah, that makes us very sort of annoyed at the time we put into this game. But fair play to them. They're flexing on us for doing that. But in terms of the overall standings going into this game week 7, Craig Van Ortman with 18 points and 399 points overall is currently leading the way. And we've also got a few others up there, the likes of James Stecker and Tenko Tenev. And then at the bottom of the table, I'm on 9 points, so 50th, which, out of the many managers, 112 in the league, I'll take that at least. But towards the bottom, still with 3 points, is Jack Kinch, so not the best start for him. And also, we've also got Tiggy Taylor is down there at the bottom with 38 on his wild card in game week 6. So Not ideal that for Tiggy, but now we're going to get into the quiz to end off the episode. And before we get cracking with this one, we need a buzzer noise from you, Gary. So what buzzer noise? It could be a sound or a phrase. What are you going for this week?
Can I just say, before we start recording this, Roberto said, we're going to try and get through this one quicker than usual. And I thought to myself, oh, thank God he might get rid of the quiz. Because last time I was on this, Chris absolutely kicked my ass, didn't he, Roberto?
Yeah. To be fair, the quiz is a permanent fixture. It never leaves you.
It has to stay. It has to stay. What was my one last time? What? There we go.
That's your buzzer noise. Okay, well, interesting. Kanji, what about you?
I'll just go with the classic. Hello.
Okay.
Is it what you're looking for?
The first question is nice and easy to start us off. Who scored England's first goal at Euro 2020? Gary?
Raheem Sterling, I think.
That is correct. 1-0 to Gary. Very quick.
He's cooking. Oh, man.
Well done.
This is what happened last time, though, Roberto. Kanji, I got off to a brilliant start and then ended up losing like 30-0 or something. Something crazy like that to Chris.
You shouldn't have said it out loud, Gary. Now it's not going to happen. You know, you've cursed yourself. Right. Okay, 1-0 to Gary after the first question. Now, this one is going back to the going from the other country to America. Mr. David Beckham played for which MLS team?
Hello.
Yes, Kanji.
Galaxy?
That is correct. LA Galaxy.
Which one?
LA
Which one?
Galaxy.
Oh, they're not two galaxies.
I didn't know.
No,
LA is David Beckham.
LA Galaxy is correct.
I'm sure there's two. There's one in their Vauxhall Conference League. I'm just being difficult.
I'm pretty sure there's two Los Angeles, but there isn't two galaxies. That's for sure. So Kanji, well done. Equalizer there. Next one is Vinnie Jones played for Wales. Is that true or false?
What?
Yes, Gary?
True.
That is correct. Gary goes 2-1 up.
I don't even know who that guy is.
You
don't know who Vinnie Jones is?
No, I don't know who he is.
Where are you from, Kanji, mate?
I'm from Toronto.
Oh, you're from Toronto.
I don't know if that was rhetorical or not.
He's the dirtiest player ever, and he's gone on to be a film star. He was in what was he in, Roberto? Snatch.
That's him.
Oh, okay.
You don't.
I think he was even in. Wasn't even in the X-Men.
Oh, surely not.
He was in some random stuff. he's been all over the place.
That would be exciting if he was in the X-Men.
He's a terrible actor. He's a terrible actor.
Sorry, Vinny, if you're listening. Now
sure he's an avid listener of the Performance Temporary podcast.
That's what I heard. The latest I heard. Okay, the next one is which Frenchman managed Arsenal from 1996 to 2019? Yes, Gary.
Arsene Wenger, come on, Roberto. Where are these questions?
Yes, Gary. It's all about speed, and you got there.
He's made him easy because he knew I was on here.
Well, you say that, but you know there's still a couple more to go. So don't start celebrating too early because there's still a chance that Kanji can pull it back.
Can I tell Kanji what the theme was last time I was on it? It was I don't know if you remember this, Roberto. It was Valentine's Day, and we had players who had Valentine's-related names, and the only one I managed to get right was Tim Flowers.
Okay. Who won the 2018 World Cup Golden Boot?
What?
Yes, Gary.
Oh, I just said that, and then I'm going to have to completely guess now. Oh, Harry Kane.
Harry Kane is correct.
Yes.
Well done.
Damn. I wouldn't have even
Gary's
thought
steaming
that.
away, so he's confirmed himself
He's cooking.
a victory, but how much will this victory be by? Because there's one more question. Now, this is actually quite a tricky one, so I'll give you a bit of time and potential clues for this one. In which year did the pass back rule change?
What?
Yes, Gary? You've buzzed in, but I don't think you know.
I know. I'm trying to remember if it was the 70s or the 80s. I'm going to say 1981.
Okay, that is
What?
incorrect. You are
Damn it.
temporarily frozen out, Kanji.
Can
Any
I
ideas?
just do like more recent or before that date? Oh no. Do I have to pick the year?
For the first attempt, go for it.
I have no clue, bro.
This is a good question, Roberto. This is a good question.
I'll go 1982. Just for jokes.
It's just gone 1 year different.
Yeah.
I can tell you that is incorrect. But my clue to you both is that with that answer, Kanji, you are warmer. So
I know. I've heard Gary Lineker talking about it being introduced during his career. So I know it has to be sometime in the 80s or early 90s.
Okay. I'm going to give a clue, and this clue is it's in the early 90s.
What?
Damn.
I'm just going to take a complete guess. 1991.
That's incorrect. You're frozen out, Kanji.
92. Give it to
He's
me.
got it. 1992.
Yay!
Well done. The first year of the Premier League being a thing, basically. So that ends the quiz. 4-2. That finished to Gary. Well done, Gary.
I finally won a quiz. This
Well
the first.
done.
I don't want to rub it in, Kanji, but it's the first time I've ever won an FPL quiz on one of these things. So,
You got it.
Bro,
and I didn't even cheat.
Yeah, for those who don't get that reference, go watch back on the FPL podcast of or the FPL YouTube channel. Of,
Double pivot.
Double pivot. Yeah, the upside. It was a great top 10 quiz that Shane did there. So no, great stuff, Kieran, and that was the episode this week. Thanks for coming on, Gary. Really enjoyed it.
Great fun as always, Roberto. Thanks for having us on, mate.
No worries. And Kanji, thanks again as always.
Yeah, it's honestly so much fun to chat FPL with people that know how to like play FPL. So it was nice to like spend some time with you, Gary. Hopefully this is just the start of a new like vibe that we're building. And Roberto, as usual, I love like potting with you. So
I mean, Candy's gonna be on. I can't remember the exact date, but you're gonna come on sometime in November. I can't remember the exact date now.
exactly,
but,
yeah. So thank you so much for inviting me back, bro. I appreciate that.
Well, very welcome, mate. You're brilliant. And obviously, Roberto is on. Well, you're on next week, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, on the Pubcast. So yeah, it's been great to do that this season. And we're looking at next week as well. We've got another great guest after the international break with FPL Vincenzo, formerly known as Craig from the Man On Podcast. So looking forward to that one when Game Week 8 swings around. But until then, have a great Game Week 7, everyone, and good luck for the game week.